Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. So if you've been with me this summer, you know we've been doing some awesome thumbnail exercises along with our character drawings using animal characters from the iconic Hanna Barbera studios. The purpose of a thumbnail exercise is to loosen up our drawing hand and our line, and in a sense to loosen up our brain by getting it into the habit of bending and molding a character in our head and in our imagination before we ever put pencil to paper. Today we're going to draw another one of my favorite Hanna-Barbera characters, and another really fun one to draw, Dino from the Flintstones. While he appears briefly in the Flintstones opening title sequence, Dino actually makes his first appearance in episode 4, which originally aired on October 21st, 1960. And here's a little bit of fun Flintstones trivia. Dino wasn't quite the character we remember at first. In season 1, episode 18, The Snorkosaurus Hunter, the writers briefly reinvented Dino as a talking Phil Silver-style butler who walks upright, answers the phone, and did housework. Fans never really embraced that version, and Hanna-Barbera quietly abandoned the idea, returning Dino to the lovable dog-like family pet that we all know today. I think they made the right call. Anyway, just a reminder before we start, everything I draw in my videos is the first time I'm drawing it. No practice. I say that to let you know that the process I use works, and it will work for you too. Okay, so let's draw. We're going to draw Dino step by step, giving you the secret formula so you can draw him again and again. If you watch any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character is. Now with Dino, we're going to use what looks like a spoon shape to map out the basic size of his head. That rounded spoon bowl represents the cranium portion of Dino's head, while the handle naturally flows into the long dinosaur neck. And we're going to use that spoon shape as our unit of measurement. And with his somewhat elongated neck, Dino's entire body is roughly 4 of those spoon shapes tall. In other words, if we stacked 4 on top of each other, that's how tall he would be. Now, as you'll see in our thumbnail exercise, Dino's neck stretches and shrinks depending on the pose. Sometimes he reaches way up, sometimes he's crouched down. But in general, he's about 4 of those heads tall. Okay, so let's draw our roadmap for today's drawing of Dino. Okay, so there's our roadmap of Dino. Now before we move on, let's break Dino down into simple shapes. For those of you who want a screen grab, just something to help you to lay out your drawing. Alright, so now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the third and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. We use guidelines to help position Dino's eyes, muzzle, nose, neck, body, and overall build. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Okay, so let's rough out the features for our drawing of Dino. Alright, so there are the roughed out features of our Dino drawing. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of Dino. And because we've already done all the hard work, we're not guessing anymore. Now's the time to slow down and clean up your lines and make sure that the drawing really feels like Dino. Keep checking. Is the spoon-shaped head working? Does the neck have a nice natural curve? Is the body still landing about 4 spoon shapes tall? And most importantly, does he look playful? Because that's who Dino really is. He's just a giant puppy trapped inside the body of a dinosaur. Keep refining all the way until the very end. Alright, so let's draw in the final details for Dino. Okay, so now we're going to add one more step. This is our thumbnail exercise. And once again, this is where I want you to loosen up. We're going to take what we've learned from the main drawing, Dino's head shape, muzzle, long neck, wide trunk, short legs, and overall proportions, and sketch a bunch of quick little poses around him. These are not finished drawings. This is where you are literally thinking on paper. You're using what you know about the character to move him or pose him in other ways. The point is not to make perfect drawings. The point is to train your hand and your brain to understand how the character moves or how his body would look in other poses. Keep them rough, keep them light, don't erase too much, loosen up that hand, don't focus on details, and most importantly, have fun. Alright, so let's draw in some loose thumbnail poses of Dino. And that's how you do it. There you have it. One finished drawing of Dino from the Flintstones, surrounded by those loose thumbnail sketches designed to help us understand the character even better. So how do you think you did? If this is the first time you've ever drawn Dino, or doing this kind of a thumbnail exercise, you can't expect to have drawn him perfectly. You'll notice I don't spend time coloring our drawing of Dino because I want my lesson to focus solely on the drawing process. But now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing Dino. And even more importantly, you've got a terrific exercise you can use with virtually any character. Draw one finished pose, then loosen up and sketch a bunch of thumbnails around it. I promise each time you do this, it's going to be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. So I'd love to see your thumbnail sketches of Dino. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram. And don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.